It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
How should we invest in the 401k? If we shouldn't be too conservative or we shouldn't be too aggressive and we shouldn't day trade, how should we think about investing in our retirement plan?
Well, and this is one I think is so powerful because a lot of people, look, you have to love the one you're with. You know, not all 401ks are created equal.
Right.
When I go and look at the 401ks of my clients, and even as we designed the 401k for our company, Abound Wealth, we wanted the best of the best, meaning that we wanted to keep costs low. We wanted to give our employees access to super low-cost investments that had a great long-term track record. And then we wanted to make sure we gave them all the features and benefits that would allow them to have maximum growth opportunities for their future. So that's the ideal.
Yep.
Unfortunately, not all plans are created equal. I mean, it's not uncommon because by the way, on Twitter, I had somebody ask me because there's some new legislation where you're going to be able to start grouping buying employment plans as a group. Essentially, a trade group can go. This is all part of the new legislation. And somebody said, how do you think this is going to go? And my reality, here's the reality, is that you probably the big players that you want to play in this will not for a few more years. You know, you're not going to see Fidelity, Vanguard, and Charles Schwab immediately start doing these group plans. Who usually jumps in first are the insurance companies. Insurance companies are early to adopt, but they usually have much higher expenses. Now, look, I've been shocked on some like 403Bs and other things I've dealt with. Some of these players are sharpening the pencil. I don't know if it's because of fiduciary concerns or other things like that, but it is one of those things you have to be an advocate. This is the key point. If you are somebody working for your employer and you look at your retirement plan and you go, I don't see any index funds. I feel like I'm paying a lot for what we're getting. Go talk to your employer. If you don't have Roth, if you don't have Roth access in your plan, go talk to somebody and figure out why in the world are we structured the way we are.
And I can actually name a number of plans where someone has been listening to the show and they said, you know what, I'm going to write HR and see if I can have the index added or see if I can have a Roth option added. And we've actually heard firsthand that plans get changed. Here's another great one. If you look at your 401k lineup and there's not either some sort of age-based option or risk-based option in the plan, whether it be target retirement funds or perhaps even custom-designed model portfolios that fit a specific demographic, you should ask for that. And target date funds are maybe some of the easiest that you can add into plans right now.
Well, and I think this ties in because people, when we do shows, like, where should I go invest my money? We throw out there, so it's just part of our language when we talk to people. Before you go hire a financial advisor or do anything, go leverage the ability of a target retirement fund because these things have a lot of benefits. But let's go through a few of these key benefits.
Yeah, so the first thing, when you're starting out, we think that all you should really be focused on are answering two questions. How much do I want to save and when do I want to retire? If you can answer those two questions, a target date fund is great for you. You literally pick the date you think you're going to retire, like the year 2060. You go and buy the 2060 fund. Well, right now, while we're a number of years away from that, it's going to be more aggressive. It's going to have a higher allocation of stocks. But as you move through time, it's going to become naturally more conservative for you. So just like we said, one of the things people don't do is they don't track their allocation through time. A target date fund will do that for you automatically.
Well, it lets you focus exactly what you said on the savings habit. That's the most important thing. Don't get bogged down into where should my money go. Just get it in a target retirement fund. Focus on what you control, which is starting that awesome habit of building wealth and saving for the future.
Now, one thing that we think is interesting that was not common knowledge a number of years ago is that not all target date retirement funds are equal. There are actually actively managed target date retirement funds, and then there are indexed target date retirement funds. I'll give you a guess which one we think is best.
We do like the index variety because it drives the internal operating expenses, meaning the expenses of the portfolio to just operate and manage and what you pay. You know, you don't see a money flow out monthly or even quarterly, but it's in there. I promise you it's baked into the recipe. I like index varieties of target retirement funds because they're usually less than like 15 basis points or 0.15%. Vanguard has good ones. Fidelity Freedom Index has some good ones. So pay attention to what you have access to, and in the index varieties are much better.
And you've already said this. If your plan doesn't have it, don't be afraid to ask. It's a really easy question to write HR. Hey, can we add some target date index funds? You may just be amazed that they say, you know what? Yeah, we do. And we also were looking for a committee to form to review our investments annually. You might have just volunteered yourself for that. That's a great way to be an advocate for your army of dollar bills.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't share that, you will get to a point, because everybody, we're a big advocate for these target retirement index funds. But there's going to come a time where complexity comes your way. You're going to get to where you have $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 of assets, and then you're going to start worrying about asset location. You're going to start worrying about financial planning matters, retirement planning, estate planning, education planning. That's where the abundance cycle kicks in. We give you all this great free advice, so hopefully you graduate to a level of success that you will consider reaching out, taking the relationship to the next level. We would be horrible business people as well as horrible educators if we didn't tell you there wasn't a level above this. And that's actually a great time. I want to talk about strategy, Bo. How do you actually maximize 401ks and their power?
So we've already talked about how this tool is an incredible tool in your tool belt. So we think that they're sort of what I'm going to call the basic strategy to maximize that everyone ought to know about. And then there are some advanced strategies, some things that maybe you don't know as much about. But before we jump to the advanced, let's talk about some of the very basic strategy. You've already hit number one on the head. We've driven this home. Get the employer match.
Get that free money.
If you're not getting all of the free money available into your plan, that's the single biggest change you can make right now in your financial life to really turbocharge building your army of dollar bills.
Another basic thing you can do, just make sure you're maxing out all your contributions as well as the catch-up contributions. If they're there and you have the income to support it, make sure you're taking advantage of it.
I think a great thing to do is follow the financial order of operations. Go get that free money and then go look at your... then knock over your water. Go check your tax-free accounts you have available. Then go back to your employer accounts. There's nothing wrong with maxing out your salary deferrals.
Now, Bo, this is something I think that has happened. You're seeing more and more with the side hustles. You see people that have multiple employers.
That's right.
So if you have multiple employers, basic knowledge is you need to understand how 415 funding limits work.
That's exactly right. Across multiple plans, you can only do certain salary deferrals. You can only get one set of 19.5, or you can only get one set of 26,000, unless, small caveat, you have access to a 457 plan, then you get two. But if we're just talking about 401ks, understand how your Section 415 limits integrate and move together across different income sources, different plans. We'll talk more about that in advanced strategies.
So I just want to, if you work for a university, if you work for a hospital, you probably, or even governmental entity, perk up, because that key part about 415 limits and the integration between 401ks, 457s is a hyper savings opportunity that we'll hit on.